So, well, let me tell you about what a great hero I am. Let me just tell you, you know. So when I was on some kind of a real high dose of LSD at the age of 7, they had me project into all these different futures and all this stuff, and yeah, they showed me this big long fucking film about all these I mean, it's real hardcore stuff about all these different projections about the future and all this stuff that they were sure it was going to happen and going to develop, and they were right about all of that stuff. And but anyway, I mean, one option, of course, was for me to be transgender. So I briefly went into that, and I was like, oh, okay. So at the age of 20, I decide, and that's a program. I mean, they like to do that. So yeah, they programmed that into me as like an option, and um, so right. So I at 20, you you tend to meet people who might be a match for you, a lot during that time. So you get sabotaged a lot. They arrange a lot of sabotaging orchestration, events of sabotage anyway, to give you a lot of bad experiences, you know. And they actually send programmed, women your way who you might be attracted to, and then but there's some kind of fatal flaw that they installed, and they don't give a fuck because you're an asset. You're a CIA asset, and then you're extremely important for the future, So anyway, um, and then they kill people. They all this stuff. I've talked about some of this stuff. So anyway, um, yeah. What happens is I say, oh yeah, okay, fine. I'm more of a girl than a young man, more of a young woman than a young man, and so then I transition, and I'm at least I get to move however I want, and I seem to have a little more personal freedom. Uh, I kind of feel like I'm playing a role a little bit though, and it's just kind of, I don't know. But I find things that interest me, and somehow get into. I do some writing. I do some writing, and I feel like very free to almost say anything. But a lot of it's I don't know. It's not terribly well received, and but I then get into editing. I work for a publishing a company, and I get into editing, and I'm really good with that. I'm really good at improving people's work. And I make all these suggestions, and I do all I modify work, and then I somehow, well, anyway, I marry a well-to-do man, and I don't know. It's I get to become comfortable with my my disordered I get comfortable with the I don't know. I warm up to the trauma that was done. I guess I make it okay with myself, and so time goes on, and then he he has affairs and stuff. He's somewhat open about that, and then they say, well, you know what's going on, what's going, and you don't really have a problem with this, you know. And I don't know. It seemed too disrespectful to me at a certain point, and so I divorced him, and I'm doing okay, pretty well financially on my own, but it's you know I'm able to buy a house out in the outskirts of a city. Maybe it's a small town. And I actually opened up my own publishing house. And how I do it, how I work it, it's like because my work's not well received. What I do is I'll you know, I find, you know, people who you know, people submit manuscripts, and I you know, if I like something or I think it has some potential, you know, what I'll do, I'll publish it on condition that I get to do a treatment of it, you know. And I do all this. I kind of work in this really weird kind of magical code that I developed, you know, that just comes from, you know, my early experiences, some patterns, you know, that I recognize, you know, that most people don't pick up on. That's all. Really impossible for, you know, people to do this unless, you know, something like what happened to me happened to them. So, you know, so that's what I do. You know, I'm a sorceress, and I again, you know, and so you know, I basically, there's all these books that are getting, they come to me, and the thing is, the CIA picks up on it. They know what's going on. They arrange this whole thing. You know, they like me modifying these books a certain way because they know it brings about the future, you know, and so it does. And so it does. Things really heat up in the world. You know, I'm really advancing, you know, everything along, you know, by doing this, and, you know, this overt means through my publishing house. And I think it's like, maybe, I don't know, it would have already happened. It would be like in 2015 or maybe 2011, I think. Yeah, I'm like in my early 30s when it happens. And yeah, I'm out there, you know, in my on my property, you know, it's kind of in the country. And my neighbor, it's anyway, you know, when it happens, and I don't know, maybe it's an EMP or so, I don't know what it is. Uh, it's my neighbors who kill me, you know. I think they kind of torture me a little bit before they do that. They undo certain things, you know. They right, to show their, you know, disdain for people like me who are not what they appear to be, you know. Right. And it's an awful scene, and yeah, it's like it's out in the open, and I don't know. I forget at this point what exactly they all they did. That's how my life ends in the that's how it would have ended had I chose to take that path, you know. And we'd be in a much different world today, actually. A much different world. So I'm a great hero, you know. Isn't that funny? I think it's hilarious. God. It can't. It's not this. There's no way. You guys are so stupid. You're so stupid. It doesn't take a genius to do this stuff. It doesn't take a genius to do this stuff, man. You did it with a flow chart, you know, in the past, and then, you know, you got computer programs now. You got, you know, it's simple. This stuff is simple. It's paint by the numbers, you know.